The following is a paid presentation by Siniard Law Injury Attorneys, paid for by Siniard Law Injury Attorneys. The Siniard Law Show, answering your legal questions, featuring attorneys Tommy Siniard, Bart Siniard, and your host, Aaron Dacey. This is the Siniard Law Show.
Good evening and welcome to the Siniard Law Show, where we invite your legal questions and educate you on various areas of the law. Siniard Law is a father-son personal injury firm right here in the Tennessee Valley, focused on giving back to the community through legal education. Siniard Law has again received recognition as a Tier 1 personal injury litigation firm by Best Lawyers in America. Bart Siniard is on the list of Best Lawyers in America 3 years running, and Tommy Siniard, his father, has more than 3 decades of recognition by Best Lawyers in America. Tonight, we're discussing real estate law. We have expert attorney Alan Judge with us. Plus, hear how you can make your donations go further and reduce your tax liability by investing your charitable dollars with the Community Foundation in Huntsville. We invite you to share your legal questions on any topic of the law. Next week, we're talking about holiday season injuries. Just email us at questions@siniardlaw.com or call us at 844-7000-LAW, and your question may be featured. Now to our legal tip of the week, the legal pitfalls when buying a house. Attorney Tommy Siniard is here with expert attorney Alan Judge. Good evening, gentlemen.
Very fortunate to have Alan Judge here, one of the preeminent real estate lawyers in the whole North Alabama region, respected by all for his expertise in real estate. Alan, first of all, let me back up. You formed a title company in 2004. The name is ADM Title Services.
That's correct.
Tell the viewers, what does a title company do that's different than a closing lawyer?
Well, it's essentially the same thing. A closing lawyer, I'm a closing lawyer, but I own a title company. There's 2 parts to a title closing. It's the title insurance agency and then the settlement services, which gets everything, all the paperwork done and all the money dispersed. And a title lawyer may do it inside the context of a law firm. I formed a title agency so that we could, quite frankly, call on realtors. And I have salespeople and things that law firms aren't allowed to have. So that's the main distinction, is the different rules relating to how it operates and markets.
Help the first-time home buyers, or even not the first, those that have purchased before, knowing about the legal pitfalls of buying a house.
Well, there's a couple of things that you don't think about, and that's why, obviously, full disclosure, I sell title insurance, but people come in and they're looking to save money, understandably, on however they can, and oftentimes they'll want to say, well, do I really need title insurance? And the answer is yes. A lot of the legal pitfalls of buying a house can be protected through title insurance. And I can give several examples if you want me to.
Give us one good one.
Well, everybody has heard of deed fraud. That's been on a lot of the infomercials and ads, people telling you about the dangers of deed fraud. Somebody coming in.
Seems like a scam to me.
Yeah, but it's legit. There are people who do it. I just had somebody who tried to do it 2 weeks ago.
Really?
I got a phone call and somebody had called the tax office, sent in a fake ID claiming to be the property owner, and had the tax office switch the address to this person's address out of state. And then that person listed the property for sale.
Come on.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
how many times do they get through with the transaction and actually run off with some money?
You'd be surprised.
Come on.
That's happening in Huntsville, Alabama.
I would have never guessed it.
I've had to fix those after the fact. When that happens, a seller from out of town somehow convinces people that he's the real property owner or she's the real property owner. But they never come into town. It's all handled electronically. They list the property, sell the property, provide all of the documentation. The property gets funded, or the closing gets funded, and then the real property owner comes forward sometime later and says, hey, what happened? This is my property. And
what a nightmare.
That is what we call a title insurance claim.
Right.
Right? And that's where title insurance would come in and basically make the person whole, because the deed is a forged deed, so it's void.
Right.
But all of this money that has been transferred has to be
covered by the title
insurance.
So it would be redundant to have title insurance and then buy one of those services.
Yes, for the most part. If you're buying a house, there's certain title insurance. In our community, we sell what is called an enhanced title insurance policy. That covers this very situation if it ever happened to you. So in that scenario, yes, it would be redundant. But that's one reason why title insurance is something that you really should buy.
Give us, because you're right on the ground on this, what is the status of the real estate market in the greater Madison County area?
Yeah, that interesting. We've been very fortunate in Huntsville for decades, even during the crash. Yes, it slowed down. Yes,
2008 crash.
2008, 2009. It hit us a little bit later than a lot of the rest of the country. Quite frankly, we thought we had missed it. We thought we'd avoided it, but it hit. But still, we've been very fortunate in Huntsville, and this has been a hard year. I deal with realtors all the time, and a lot of them are telling me it's been the toughest year that they've seen. So there's still properties moving. I'm seeing a bit of a downward price pressure in the lower price points. I don't see a lot of difference in the upper price points, in that 700, 750 and above. It might sit on the market a little longer, but they're selling. It takes a little while. And perhaps it's because the rate sensitivity is not quite as much when you're buying a $1 million house versus buying a $250,000 house.
I get it.
But we've noticed that even when the rates dip a little bit, activity picks up.
Now let's get back to you, our viewers, and your questions. Our first question tonight comes from Seth. He says, when my mom died, my sister and me inherited her house. I wanted to sell the house, but my sister didn't want to. She's over my mom's will, so she says she has control over it. Is there any way I can force this house to be sold?
That's a great question, and short answer is depends on what the will says, right? We'd have to see what the will says, but if the sister who's over the will is refusing to probate the will, then yes, you can force the will to be probated. And if in the will it says that the house has to be sold, then yes, you can force it to be sold. So any devotee or interested party can probate a will. And you can even potentially ask the judge to appoint a different personal representative if the personal representative is not carrying out their duties correctly under the will.
Okay, sounds good. When the Siniard Law Show returns, Melissa Thompson, CEO of the Community Foundation, will discuss how they're stretching charitable dollars in Huntsville so even more work can be done to help local nonprofits.
Harrison Brothers brings together the best of North Alabama. Our curated selection of local art, fine crafts, and gourmet food are great gifts for everyone on your shopping list. We carry books by local authors, and our toys pique a child's imagination. At Harrison Brothers, your purchases support artists and artisans right here in the Tennessee Valley. Located on Huntsville's Courthouse Square since 1897, Harrison Brothers is more than a store. It's a tradition.
It's your news, your way, streaming now.
Every night, WAFF 48 is on your side, bringing you today's headlines.
Now to a story we've been following all afternoon.
Tonight's breaking news.
I'm on the scene of what is a rapidly developing situation here.
And tomorrow's first alert.
This is something we're going to have to watch over the next couple of hours.
Stream now, stream anytime, because your tomorrow starts tonight.
WAFF 48 News at 10. Your news on your schedule, live and on demand on any device.
Siniard Law is committed to highlighting great nonprofits in our community. Tonight, learn about investing your charitable dollars to do even more good in the Tennessee Valley. Tommy?
Thank you, Aaron. We're so happy to be here with our special guest, Melissa Thompson, who is from the Community Foundation of Greater Huntsville. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
What a stellar pathway she has had and the benefits that we've derived from her effort in the Tennessee Valley. It's a remarkable story. Melissa, tell our viewing audience of Siniard Law what you do and what your organization is.
So our organization has been around since 2008, and so it really began with community leaders who wanted to create a vehicle for people to give charitably. And so that's what we do at our very basic mission is we help donors mobilize their generosity by simplifying their giving and amplifying their impact.
So this is so unique, and you know, we're proud at Siniard Law to donate and be involved in local charitable efforts. Sad to say, we've never been involved with the Community Foundation. And I was talking to you before we started about it being like or similar to the United Way in that donations are given and they are divided up, I guess according to need, but that decision is made by United Way. How does Community Foundation differ from United Way?
So the Community Foundation is very donor-centric in that we help donors be generous, however that looks to them. So for many of our donors, that means setting up a donor advised fund, which is just like a giving account. So they are able to set up the fund, get their tax deduction in the year that they need it, and then give their money away over time. The best part is the money's invested while it's in the fund, and so it continues to grow, which gives them more money to give. So a lot of our donors just have a certain reason they might want to set up a fund or need a charitable deduction in 1 year, but then the beauty of it is they can give money away over
Whenever
time.
and to whomever.
Right, that's right. As long as it's a 501c3 public charity in the United States, they can give. And so a lot of folks, because of our name, they think that they can only give locally. Many of our donors choose to give locally, but you know, they also have the options to give to.
If I put X amount, $10,000, I could decide when and what entity, including entities outside of this region.
Absolutely.
Like if I want to give to St. Jude.
Absolutely. And I signed some grant checks this morning to St. Jude.
Right.
So yes, donors are giving to their alma maters or to national charities or you know, they love the flexibility they have to be able to give to any charity they want. But then we also provide some local expertise because sometimes donors might say, this is the kind of work that I'm interested in. Who's doing this? And so we can come alongside them and
so you're
provide
counselors, charitable counselors.
Well, that's a good way of looking at it. We just, you know, we know all things about this community and that's our specialty. And so we're able to help donors with that information.
What is the number of the pool of donors that you support with your advice and counseling?
So we manage 395 different charitable funds. Each fund is kind of separate. And then last year, though, we supported over 750 different nonprofit organizations and had over 1,000 donors who donated through the Community Foundation.
That's eye-popping.
So it really is just.
What kind of staff do you have to manage?
We have 7 people on our staff, so we're lean, but able to really kind of accomplish a lot. And just over time, I mean, just some of the statistics truly are mind-boggling. In the past 17 years, our donors have raised over $150 million for charitable causes. And we've just recently passed the 100 million mark in grants out to the community.
And none of my business, but what fraction of that money stays in this region?
Well, that's a very good question. About 70% of all of our donors' grants stay in the 5-county footprint, that is the greater Huntsville area. So that's over $70 million that has stayed right here in our community to improve the quality of life right here at home. Do you
recruit the donors, or does the organization recruit the donors, or just serve as a pass-through?
So most of the time it happens where a financial advisor may know about us and tell their client that they need to, you know, maybe get a tax deduction, or they might want to talk to us. And so a lot of times our referrals come from financial advisors, but some of my favorite are the referrals that come from other donors who are happy with the service that they get from us and just say, you know, one of my favorite stories is someone who was looking to set up a fund and heard from about 5 different people, just use the Community Foundation, just use the Community Foundation. Finally, he came to me and said, Melissa, I guess I need to just use the Community Foundation. Tell me what I need to do.
It's like a well-advised machine, isn't it?
If we're doing our jobs, which we work really hard to do.
So I'm partial to your new superstar hire. Tell me about it.
Oh, our superstar hire, Ansley Limbo, joined our staff in in May, and she has just really hit the ground running, and she just is, she's our donor relations specialist, and so she just works with donors and has the conversations to find out what the donors want to do with their giving and really helping to put the plans in place to make that happen. And I could not be happier with the fact that she's on the team.
I'm very partial to the Bowles clan. She is Erin Dacey and Ben Bowles' daughter.
Yes.
And a star band member of the, if I can say, at the University of Alabama, Roll Tide.
Oh, there you go. Well, I do make her tell that story.
The audience. Sorry.
I do make her tell that story. And so, kind of fun fact is, I first knew Ansley when she was just an elementary student at Hampton Cove Elementary School, where I was PTA president. And so that's where I met her parents for the first time. So things come full circle.
Superstars. Yeah.
Yes.
What is the number one problem to overcome with charitable giving?
I think people, a lot of the donors that we work with are simply overwhelmed by the number of choices they have as they continue to just be successful in their business life or just financially. The opportunities that get presented to them become overwhelming, and just everyone is, talking about how they need support. And so we're in a really unique role because we come up to the donors and say, okay, just eliminate the noise. What do you want to do with your money? What difference do you want to make with your generosity? And so it really gives them a chance to breathe and figure out what difference do they want to make in the world, and where do they need.
Because they're choosing the charities.
Correct. And so, but sometimes they're choosing, like, this is a focus area that's important to me, or my mom was a teacher and I want to support education. How can I do that best? Or, and so for us to be able to give them a place to pause and to really think, what difference do I want to make in the world?
That's so great.
That is just, I think, the value add that we bring.
Well, Melissa, you're doing God's work. We want to thank you for being here at Siniard Law.
Thank you. Well, it's just an opportunity. We thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Godspeed to you, lady.
Thank you.
When the Siniard Law Show returns, we'll get to more of your legal questions, and we'll tell you how you can sign up for the Siniard Law Firm's free monthly newsletter.
I got sandwiched between an 18-wheeler and a truck. During the accident, I lost my left leg. I chose Siniard Law because my granddad knew they had a great reputation. They were very knowledgeable. They were very sweet. We had a connection. They pretty much treated us like family. I would definitely recommend Siniard Law because they are caring and they will help you get what you deserve. If you've been injured, call Siniard Law.
Welcome back to the Siniard Law Show. If you would like to sign up for Siniard Law's newsletter, which provides free monthly legal tips, scan the QR code and be sure to sign up at siniardlaw.com. Now let's get back to you, our viewers, and your questions. Susan writes, I bought a house last year, had an inspection done that barely showed anything wrong with the house. The seller agreed to make some repairs we requested. Just a few weeks after we moved in, I realized the basement floods when there's any decent rain. Should the seller have told me this legally? If so, what kind of legal action can I take?
I get this question a lot, or something like it. Alabama is a buyer beware state. So what that means is that we're not a disclosure state. Some states are seller disclosure states. That means the seller has in some states it's quite extensive list of items that they have to disclose to any interested parties. Alabama's not one of those states. So it's up to the buyer to determine if there's any issues with the house, and that's what home inspections are for. If the seller actively concealed something, now or
made a misrepresentation.
Could make if asked about it and lied. Right. Then you'd have a potential fraud case.
Right.
But other than that, as a contractual matter, it's very difficult after the fact. So it's very important to make sure that you do get inspections, and then if there's something mentioned in the inspection, what happens is people get inspections, they look at the summary items that need to be fixed, but they don't read carefully what's in the inspection. A lot of times the home inspectors are going to say, hey, this is potentially an issue, you need to have another expert come in and look at it. And they don't always do that.
Right.
And so that's one of the things, another legal pitfall, that you look at those inspection reports very carefully.
So is it the real estate agent's responsibility to ask those questions? Have you ever had a flood here?
Yeah, that's a great question. That list of questions could go on and on and on.
Yeah.
Right? Unless you had
you think of everything.
Yes, that's right. You'd have to think of every possible thing. You look for certain, if there has been a flood, there's certain indications, right?
So the inspector would know that.
Hopefully the inspector would point out, hey, this looks a little odd. You might have a foundation person or a basement person or a flood person come in and look at it. But timing is always an issue. You want to get these inspections done early on, so you have time. You want to give yourself enough time to have subsequent inspections if the first inspection calls for them. All of this is negotiated in the contract.
And generally there's a big push by the seller for that time to be short.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
That makes it very difficult to get all that inspecting and requests for repairs done.
So buyer beware.
So the buyers don't need to be pushed into an early closing, because that just puts you at a disadvantage for finding the things that need to be found before you agree to $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 loan. Because there's no going back. We're said to be a caveat emptor state, that is Latin for buyer beware. So you have to be aware, or you can buy a bag of rocks.
That's right.
If you're not careful.
Fool's gold. Here's another email question from Jeff. Are rules in HOA agreements enforceable if no one told me there was an HOA? I bought a house a few years ago, and they're trying to tell me I can't have more than 3 cars in my driveway. I fix up antique cars, and now the HOA is threatening to fine me because I keep 4 cars in the driveway.
HOA is Homeowners Association.
Yep.
There's some nightmare stories about people that run them.
It's usually volunteers.
Yeah, but they,
in the neighborhood, right?
They call them Karens, no offense to anybody named Karen, but it's their life to enforce the HOA rules. Aren't some people obsessed with that?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Tell us more.
I've seen all kinds of different variations of this. To directly answer the question, declarations or restrictive covenants are recorded in the courthouse. So that means you are on notice as a member of the public that they're there.
Like you're going to run through the courthouse and look for HOA restrictions.
But legally, you cannot say I didn't know. In other words,
because you could go to the courthouse and look it up
in
yourself.
theory, you could do that. And now, practically, unless somebody tells you that there are restrictive covenants, you're going to have to just know that. Just about every subdivision has some sort of restrictive covenant.
And along with that is typically an HOA due.
And that's right.
So I had a client who was coming to me, I don't even do real estate, who had a $780 house payment, but a $240 HOA fee.
Wow.
That's right. And so if there is an HOA, things to look out for, if there is an HOA transfer fee or an HOA dues then there's covenants. And you want to find out if you have some special thing that you're doing, like working on antique cars in a residential neighborhood, you need to ask that question and you need to get it in writing.
What are some of the other typical restrictions, like parking on the street, parking in the yard?
It depends on the neighborhood. Typically, the more amenities a neighborhood has, gated pools, clubhouses, they have more restrictions on what you can do. But that kind of thing, if you drive through the neighborhood, you can usually see what kinds of things are going on, and then you ask questions. That's really important, to drive through the neighborhood and ask these questions, and I'd put them in writing.
Is it on the buyer's real estate agent to inform them, there is an HOA and the restrictions are pretty severe?
That's they should be. The real estate agent should be finding out what the needs of the client are. I tell them this all the time, and they do. Good agents really do a great job. If you know your client is going to do something that may be out of the ordinary, and you know that we're in a subdivision that has an HOA, then yes, they should say, hey, let's get the attorney to look through the covenants before we either
and give
make
us
an
some
offer.
advice. Yeah.
That's right. Or make it subject to attorney review, satisfactory review of the covenants in the offer.
Is there a duty on the sellers to disclose, one, that there is an HOA, and two, what the dues are, or is it the seller's realtor legally obligated to do that, or is the poor buyer just navigating that on their own?
This is why, great question, and this goes back to caveat emptor. The seller really has no duty to disclose anything unless you just ask them a direct question and they lied to you. So it is on the buyer, and that's why getting a good real estate agent is pretty critical.
Right.
So that you have an agent who is working for the buyer and asking the right questions.
Explain in a minute what the current real estate commission environment is, because I know there's been some cataclysmic changes with a class action case.
Yeah, we refer to it as the NAR, National Association of Realtors settlement. In a minute, basically there was an allegation by a class of sellers that real estate agents across the country colluded to artificially keep real estate commissions at a certain point or high. And therefore the seller had no option, had no negotiating power. In my experience, that's not correct, but nevertheless, that case got tried and the jury found in favor of the sellers. So instead of letting National Association of Realtors go bankrupt, they entered into a settlement. And part of that settlement was they changed the way real estate commissions are negotiated, disclosed, and included as part of the contract. So now you're going to have the buyer's agent enter into an agreement with a buyer for the buyer to pay their own commission, right? And then in the real estate contract, the buyer's agent is asking, or the buyer through their agent is asking the seller to pay that. So the buyer owes it, they ask the seller to pay it, and the seller doesn't have to pay it.
It's all negotiable.
It is all negotiable. It's always been negotiable though, right? It's just now it's in the contract. So now we have a paper trail showing that it was negotiated. Before there was no paper trail, and now there is. So it's a big change. It was a bigger, at the beginning, nobody likes change.
Right.
But now that we're settled into it, people have gotten used to doing it, and the people who want to hire real estate agents are still hiring real estate agents, and the sellers who want to sell houses are still paying commissions.
Right. Good info. Thanks so much, Alan.
Absolutely.
We appreciate Alan Judge and Tommy Siniard for all of this information about real estate law. Next week, the attorneys will cover the topic of holiday season injuries. We look forward to hearing from you, our viewers, with your questions about holiday injuries or any other legal topic you'd like for the attorneys to tackle. You can email us at questions@siniardlaw.com or call our voicemail line at 844-7000-LAW. Join us next Sunday night after the late news.
The preceding was a paid presentation by Siniard Law Injury Attorneys, paid for by Siniard Law Injury Attorneys.